Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. Podbean, same thing. If you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. We have X, Facebook, and Instagram. X, all you got to do is type in @Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news and highlights from across college and NFL football. Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. And Instagram, all you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow the page there. You'll get episode updates. There's a bio about me if you want to read about me. Also, there's trivia questions. Go and answer today's trivia question on Pigskin Frenzy stories, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Quicker intro today. And before we get into today's episode, let's go over, as a reminder, I went over it all last week, but free giveaway for Pigskin Frenzy. It will be announced on September 7th, and the giveaway includes this. It is the defending Super Bowl champion giveaway. An autographed football by Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman Trey Smith, Joe Tunney, and Mike Calandino. An extra large Chiefs football t-shirt, 2 Pigskin Frenzy stickers, and a shout out on September 7th episode of Pigskin Frenzy. The rules are simple. If you have Facebook, follow Pigskin Frenzy on Facebook. Share the post on your story with the hashtag PF Podcast Giveaway, and tag us @Pigskin Frenzy. Number 3, tag 2 of your friends in the comments down below. If you have Instagram and not Facebook, follow Pigskin Frenzy on Instagram. Same rules. Share your post on the story with a hashtag Pigskin Podcast Giveaway, PF Podcast Giveaway. Tag us @Pigskin Frenzy, and then tag 2 friends in the comments below. The additional entries are subscribe to Pigskin Frenzy on YouTube, follow Pigskin Frenzy on Podbean, and follow Pigskin Frenzy on X or Spotify. So those are the additional entries. Those are the rules. Enter the giveaway now. You're not going to want to miss out on what we have. I'll announce it once again on my Instagram story and on Pigskin Frenzy September 7th. September 7th. So enter the giveaway next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday. Enter the giveaway. Okay, college football day today. We're back. We are back in the fold. College football day today. And this weekend is Labor Day weekend, so I hope everyone has a great weekend. By the way, I'm going casual today with a fit. If you're watching it on YouTube, I'm repping my alma mater for college, Mississippi College. Go Choctaws, right? So I'm, going casual today. But college football is back. I'm rocking it in honor of college football because like I said, we're here. So season's getting underway. We technically got started last weekend, and we're going to break some of those games down. It was week 0, but the official everybody playing starts this weekend. So week 1 of college football begins, and it flew by just like that because I honestly thought we were going to be, discussing, we were here talking about spring games. So here we go, right? We were talking about spring football, what I like to see, and now we're here. So the time for talk is over. Football is going to begin. Well, time for talk is over for the football players and the coaches. But for me, I'm going to still talk. But anyway, you know what I mean. So college football, here we go. Let's get underway, right? We're going to, kick it off with some week 0 matchups, and then we're going to preview and predict some of the games and highlights from this weekend coming up. So once again, subscribe to YouTube, comment below on there, follow on Podbean, Spotify, share around with others, and follow on X, Instagram, and Facebook for all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Let's go. Let's roll. I'm ready to roll. Let's go over some week 0 games, and they were quite interesting. Let's kick it off with I would say the biggest one, which was in Dublin, Ireland. By the way, whoever answered the trivia question, good job. The last game was played in 2022. It was Nebraska last season, Nebraska and Northwestern. So good on you guys for answering that one. But now you can answer another trivia question. The last game played in Dublin was this past Saturday, 2023. So it was Notre Dame-Navy. I got the outcome right, but the whole game I got completely wrong. It was a beating, and it was a beating. Notre Dame defeated Navy 42-3. I was sitting back and I was watching this. I was like, I thought it was going to be a lot closer. But Notre Dame, they're out here scoring points. Yes, you may think, Joel, it's Navy. They're in the American Conference. They usually play each other close. I don't know. So Notre Dame's next big opponent is going to come in the form of September 23rd in a few weeks out against Ohio State. Ohio State's going to travel to South Bend. So we're going to see what Notre Dame's about then. But let's go over Notre Dame a little bit. Their defense looks stout. They need to clean up a little bit on the secondary end, but they look good. Their offense, especially, their offense was clicking on all cylinders, and it was led by graduate transfer from Wake Forest, Sam Hartman. I said it. I said Sam Hartman was going to be that guy, and he was that guy. Look at his stats. 19 for 23 for 266 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. He threw for 4 touchdowns up in Dublin. It was unbelievable. Sam Hartman played lights out. He looked like he was connecting with his team. He looked very comfortable out there. He even wore, and this is an interesting story, guys. Get this. He had to have surgery and have part of his rib taken out. His mom decided to clean it off, and he wore it as a necklace. That's cold. Go and listen to the full story on it. I don't remember too much of the details, so I'm asking you guys to go and listen to the story. But he wore a rib, his part of his rib that he had on his necklace. Unbelievable. Sam Hartman, lights out against Navy. Notre Dame looked good. Marcus Freeman improved, and Notre Dame improves to 1-0. They play Tennessee State Saturday, and they're going to get rocking and rolling up in South Bend for week 1. So Notre Dame beats Navy. Let's move on to Vanderbilt and Hawaii, and then I'm going to talk about USC because USC played also. So Vanderbilt and Hawaii, very close game. I didn't expect it to be that close. I thought Vanderbilt was going to show us a little bit something up in Nashville. They did, but it was a little bit closer than advertised. I think my whole issue with Notre Dame is not Notre Dame. I keep saying Notre Dame, but Vanderbilt is this. The offensive line was giving me a little bit of trouble, like watching them. Hawaii got to A.J. Swan a lot. The Rainbow Warriors got to Commodore's quarterback A.J. Swan a lot, and he got sacked about 4 or 5 times that game. So what's going to happen when you play Georgia? What's going to happen when you play other opponents? It's not going to end up well, right? So 4 or 5 sacks, I didn't necessarily think that was, that should be ideal moving forward. That's the only question I got from Vanderbilt. Other than that, they got some good skill players, like wide receiver Will Shepherd. He scored 2 touchdowns. A.J. Swan was playing lights out, 19 for 30 passing for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns. The offense looked like they were clicking. Clark Lee improves to 1-0 on the season before next week's matchup. Vanderbilt looked good on offense. They look kind of questionable on the offensive line, but they looked okay on offense. Defense looked a little bit questionable as well, but they did enough to get the win up in Nashville. So Vanderbilt beats Hawaii 35-28. Last game of week 0, and we'll break it down before we move on to the other games, and I'll start previewing, predicting the other games. And that's probably all we got for today's episode, just hyping up this week 1. Let's talk about USC. And you probably already know where I'm going with this because a lot of the fans were like, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. USC beat San Jose State 56-28. You're thinking, why is that the issue? It's not the issue. I'm going to get to the issue in a minute. USC nearly gave up 400 total yards of offense, including 198 yards on the ground. That's the issue. Before I get back on the defense, let's go over their offense. Their offense lights out. Caleb Williams, obviously, 18 for 25 for 278 yards and 4 touchdowns. Caleb Williams did good. He says he's not chasing Archie Griffin. He is chasing a national championship this season. So we'll see. Freshman wide receiver, Zachariah Branch. He is going to be a star for the Trojans. Watch out for him. Zachariah Branch, 232 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns. He looks solid against San Jose State. He was a difference maker for that offense. And I think in big-time games, you may see Zachariah Branch a lot in some of these big-time matchups. So freshman wide receiver Zachariah Branch played lights out against the San Jose State Spartans. So here we go. The Trojans gave up 400 yards of offense, including 198 yards on the ground. That is the issue. Like I said, that is the issue. I said it. I said it. Everybody who listened to me back in the spring, I said it. Doesn't matter if it's week 0. It's week 1's coming up now. I know week 1's coming up now, but doesn't matter if it's week 0 preseason. Doesn't matter. It's a game. USC's 1-0 now. The only reason why USC played this weekend is because they're not playing on the last weekend of the regular season. USC showed us that I'm kind of looking at the same USC team that I saw last season. And I said it. I said it. I said they need to fix and clean up that defense. Alex Grinch needs to do something with the defense. Lincoln Riley said, okay, it's fine. Alex Grinch is going to clean up some stuff on defense. I did not see a difference. Okay, so sure. Let's give them credit where it's due. Bear Alexander and a lot of other guys who came in through the portal and recruiting were some difference makers for that defense. They made some plays. They still nearly gave up 400 total yards of offense, including 198 yards on the ground. That is a stat when it's the first game when a San Jose State team is putting up nearly 400 yards. The only reason why you won is because y'all have a lights out offense that can outscore people. What's going to happen when you play Utah, when you play Oregon, when you play Washington? Those games are going to come up. But a potential contender in that schedule is Colorado. What's going to happen if you play a Colorado? You got to clean up that defense. You have to clean it up, and you got to fix it quick. Because if you don't fix it quick, there's going to be a game where that you shouldn't necessarily be in. Not only necessarily be in, that you should have won, but you didn't win. I'm just calling it how it is. The defense, it's questionable. I still think it's questionable. It looks the same to me. I said it. They need to clean it up. It looks like it's not been cleaned up yet, and I think they need to clean it up before it gets bad. If they don't, like I said, it's going to get bad. So USC ends up beating San Jose State 56-28. Solid, lights-out offense, one of the best in the country. Questionable defense. And that was the same song and dance with USC last season, entering the Cotton Bowl and entering the Pac-12 title game, respectively, Tulane, Utah. So let's move on to some Week 1 games. That was the preview and breakdown of my recap of Week 0. Vanderbilt needs to clean some stuff up. USC needs to clean up their defense. They look good on offense, and Notre Dame looks solid. I think Notre Dame, out of those 3 teams, impressed me the most because I liked what Notre Dame did on both sides of the ball. I think USC impressed me on offense, and Zachariah Branch especially impressed me. I have nothing but good things to say about Caleb Williams, Zachariah Branch, and Austin Jones, running back from USC, Austin Jones, but it's just kind of hard to see about the defense for USC. Now what Alex Grinch is doing up there. They need something. So that was my recap of Week 0. Let's move on to Week 1 games. Now I am so excited about college football. It's like Christmas. It is like Christmas. I'm so excited. I'm ready. I'm pumped. And let's get it going. Let's kick it off with Thursday night's game on the 31st. And it's Florida at Utah. So last season, Florida defeated Utah in an upset in Gainesville behind good quarterback play by Anthony Richardson, who is now with the Indianapolis Colts. He will start Week 1, by the way. Just throwing out a Thursday information there. Anyway, so Florida beat Utah. Utah was, okay, what are we going to go from here? Well, I'll tell you where they went from there last season. They ended up beating USC twice and winning the Pac-12 and going to the Rose Bowl. Did they lose the Rose Bowl? Yes, Penn State did defeat them in the Rose Bowl, but hear me out. Utah had a solid season. They won double-digit wins. They had a couple of losses. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad for good old Utah. Utah lost 2 games, so good on them. Notes. Let's go over some notes. Super senior quarterback Cam Rising is back. He will play, but will he play Thursday? That's the question. So will he play Thursday? Now, my whole estimate is this. He tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl. We found that out after the game was over. They're like, oh no, what's going to happen? He said he was coming back. Will he be ready for the season? He was limited throughout camp. All right. Cam Rising was limited throughout camp. Now, going into Thursday, Cam Rising is listed as the starter. However, backups Bryson Barnes and potential freshman superstar Nate Johnson are ready to go. You can start either one of those guys if Cam Rising is not ready to play at home in Salt Lake City Thursday night. I would assume that Cam Rising may see a little bit of action, but he will be limited, and they may have to put in Bryson Barnes or a Nate Johnson. Most likely Bryson Barnes in a lot of ways. It's he has the most experience. Since last season, he played a little bit last season. So, they got their backups ready. That's good. That's my only question with Utah. I don't question Utah on a lot. Utah returns a lot of their defense. They return some of their line, and they got some new skill players that can make an impact for that offense. Especially, like I said, if Cam Rising is able to elevate himself and be able to play to his full potential, then Cam Rising is going to be lights out on the field. So, going to Florida. Let's talk about Florida for a little bit. Questions that I got on them is their injuries. They have an injury report already. Center Kingsley Ugakun, sorry, that's how I pronounce that. Kingsley Ugakun. Their center, defensive end Chris McClellan, and backup quarterback Jack Miller III are all questionable due to upper and lower body injuries. Now, you're thinking, Joel, Jack Miller, he's the backup. Graham Mertz is going to start. With the play that happened in the spring game, it only gives you questions about what's going to happen, right? I mean, what could happen? Could Graham Mertz get hurt? Could he not play as good? You may have to start somebody. You may have to play somebody else and bench Graham Mertz. Who knows? Graham Mertz is the starter. I'm not going to sit here and say Graham Mertz is not the right guy for the job. We only got to see Thursday and throughout the season. Time will tell with Graham Mertz. Wisconsin transfer, by the way, Graham Mertz. So, we got all that down. The key questions that I got for Florida State are offensive line, defense, and defensive line. I think the physicality is a big thing. They didn't show any physicality. The offense was a little bit stagnant in the spring game, and that kind of worries me a little bit. However, I do think that Florida will come to life since it's week one on the road in a hostile environment in Salt Lake City, in an environment that they're really not comfortable with down from Florida. And, sunny, bright and sunny days in Florida. You're going to a cooler atmosphere up in Salt Lake City with the mountains. So I think it's going to be back and forth. I really do. I think it's going to be back and forth up until the very end. But, however, I think Utah comes in late, scores a touchdown, and I'm going to give it 31-24 Utah beating Florida. Utah improves to 1-0. Florida starts off the season on a losing end of 0-1. So Utah beats Florida. They're favored by a touchdown. I'm going to take them on the over. I'm going to take them at the just right. Let's just put it that. I'm going to take them at that touchdown, dead even, 31-24. Give me Utah over Florida. Next game. And College Game Day is going to be here. North Carolina, South Carolina, the Carolina Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. Here we go. I mean, it's going to be good, I think. So here's what we got. Key players all around for North Carolina, South Carolina. Let's start with key players from South Carolina. You got, obviously, the Oklahoma transfer, super senior quarterback, Spencer Rattler. You got running backs, DeCarrion Joyner and Juju McDowell. You got wide receiver, Antoine Juice Wells, one of the best in the SEC. You got Arkansas graduate transfer, Trey Knox now with the Gamecocks. You got edge rusher Terrell Dawkins, and you got defensive back Marcellus Dial. For North Carolina, you got key players like Drake May at quarterback, obviously one of the best in the country. You got in the jack linebacker spot Amari Gaynor. You got wide receiver Tylee Kraft, running back Elijah Green and running back Caleb Hood, defensive back Amari Chapman, and you don't really know, this is kind of a question for me, you have wide receiver Tez Walker. And Tez Walker, we don't know what the status is going to be for the junior wide receiver yet due to some pending NCAA eligibility. I know Mac Brown spoke on that earlier. I haven't seen it yet, but we don't really know and necessarily know what's going to happen with Tez Walker for Saturday. That's the only question that I got about this game. I think this game is going to be fireworks. I think there's, a lot of talent all around. I think, it's going to be a back-and-forth game, battle between two solid quarterbacks in Spencer Rattler and Drake May. I think in the end, I think I'm going to take South Carolina to overcome North Carolina. Close game. I'm going to give it a South Carolina 24, North Carolina 17. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than most people think. I think the defense is going to come to life. I think the quarterbacks are going to be a factor, but I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game that much. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, a lower to medium scoring type game, 24-17. Give me South Carolina over North Carolina this coming up Saturday. You're thinking, why are you doing 24-17? You got high prolific players on this team who can score at will. Yes, and yes, I agree. I agree with that. However, I think the defense is going to come into play for both teams. I really do. I think the defense is going to show us what they're made of. I may be wrong about the outcome and about the score, but I like South Carolina beating North Carolina 24-17 in Charlotte Saturday. So, 2 more games, and we're going to conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Colorado versus TCU. Let's talk about this for a second. Coach Prime's debut up in Boulder, Colorado. But it's on the road. You got to travel to Dallas, Fort Worth. So, Colorado, TCU, the last season's runner-up for the national championship game. I think it's going to be a solid game. Up at noon kickoff for Colorado TCU. Let's go over TCU's talent, and let's go over the talent pool really quick. Quarterback Chandler Morris, he's going to be solid. I mean, obviously, Max Duggan was solid last season, but Chandler Morris, sophomore quarterback, Sonny Dykes is really high on him, and I think that he's going to impress a lot of people. I think he's going to be a very underrated quarterback for TCU. Running back Trey Sanders from Alabama. He transferred in from Alabama. LSU wide receiver transfer Jack Betch. They have Alabama wide receiver transfer JoJo Earl. Solid pickup. The JoJo Earl pickup, solid. Junior wide receiver Savion Williams, wide receiver Jalen Robinson. They got a lot of talent at the receiver spots. And then let's go on with their defense. They have linebacker Marcel Brooks, safety Mark Perry, linebacker Jamoy Hodge, and safety Josh Foster. And you look at that talent, you're like, what can happen though? That's a talent for success. That's a talent pool and locker room for success and to win games. They got a solid coach. They got solid coordinators. So let's see what happens. But you're going up against a Coach Prime that brought in a lot of talent. Let's look at Colorado's talent, shall we? Quarterback Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime's son. You got running back Cavassier Smoke. Graduate transfer from Kentucky, Cavassier Smoke. Wide receiver Xavier Weaver. Athlete Travis Hunter, who transferred from Jackson State. Defensive back Cormani McLean. Safety from, graduate transfer from Jackson State and South Carolina, Shiloh Sanders. And Alabama transfer linebacker Demoy Kennedy. You got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball for both teams. Solid coaches, solid coordinators. Talent pool is good on both. Who do I have winning? It's going to be close. I think it's going to be very close. We've been talking about this, and you're like, Joel, it's time to give up your prediction, but it's kind of hard for me. The model says TCU was favored in this one. I'm gonna have to go with TCU beating Colorado Saturday. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than advertised, though. I think that TCU gets it done. I think it's going to be a TCU win, 31-28. 31 TCU, 28 Colorado by a field goal. That's how close I expect it to be. I think TCU edges Colorado close and gets the win and starts off their season 1-0. So TCU gets the win there. And finally, the big one, probably the biggest matchup in week 1 of Labor Day weekend. Florida State LSU. And I've been waiting for it for a year. Rewind the clock back from last year. New Orleans. The scene is set. LSU marching down for a comeback. They're about to make it. About to make it a score of, trying to make it a score of 24-24, 24-17 game. Launches it last second touchdown. Jeray Jenkins from Jaden Daniels. They're going for a PAT. And it was no good. 24-23, Florida State defeats LSU. They're wondering where's this going to go for Florida State. They're starting off 2-0. LSU's 0-1. What's going to happen with Brian Kelly? He worked hard and won the SEC West. No one expected it. No one saw it coming. I didn't see it coming, but it happened. Florida State went on to, play lights out, had a solid season. They had a double-digit win season. Florida State did. And LSU did too. LSU, Florida State, they both look solid. Now they're top 10. Number 5, LSU. Number 8, Florida State. I wish this game was on a Saturday, but we got to wait until Sunday for this one. Florida State, LSU rematch, the most hype rematch that we've been waiting for. Let's go over the talent that these two teams have because it is tremendous. Florida State has quarterback Jordan Travis, obviously a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy. They got a solid running game with Trey Benson, senior running back there. Redshirt junior running back Trey Benson. Wide receivers, they got Johnny Wilson. They got the Michigan State wide receiver transfer, Keon Coleman. That's going to play a difference in this game. What the defensive back for LSU and their secondary can do against Keon Coleman, that's probably going to, let's see what we're going to do. I think that's the big matchup for Sunday is Keon Coleman, that receiving group with Johnny Wilson, along with LSU's defensive backs and secondary. So, are they DBU? We're going to still find out Sunday. So, moving on, wide receiver Winston Wright Jr., wide receiver Ja'Kai Douglas, tight end, South Carolina graduate transfer Jaheim Bell, defensive linemen Jared Verse, Dennis Briggs, Famian Lovett, and defensive backs Renardo Green and Akeem Dent. They got a lot of talent on defense and offense on both sides of the ball. Mike Norvell's doing a heck of a job in Tallahassee, but you got second-year head coach Brian Kelly on the wings at LSU. LSU returning back to its old glory, trying to become a juggernaut once again in the Southeastern Conference. And you got arguably the best returning team, returning all coordinators with defensive coordinator Matt House, offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, and LSU head coach Brian Kelly. You got your quarterbacks back. You got quarterback Jaden Daniels, probably arguably the best quarterback in the conference, as well as second in Heisman voting currently. So Jaden Daniels, you got running backs, a pool of running backs, including freshmen too. Let's just name the few running backs that we got now. Running back Josh Williams, running back John Emery, running back Notre Dame transfer, running back Logan Diggs, and running back Noah Kane from Penn State. He transferred in last season. So you got a talent of running backs, good quarterbacks, along with Garrett Nussmeier. You can mention that quarterback room as well. Wide receivers, you got Aaron Anderson from Alabama, the Alabama transfer, redshirt freshman. You got Kyron Lacey, senior, and you got wide receiver number 1, Malik Neighbors. Solid in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, solid against Purdue. Wide receiver Brian Thomas as well. You got tight end, sophomore tight end, who was a freshman phenom last season, Mason Taylor. On the defensive side of the ball, you got defensive backs, Greg Brooks and Deuce Chestnut. You got defensive linemen, Mekhi Wingo. You got Omar Spates. You got, for the linebacker spot, you got Omar Spates. That's from Oregon State, Omar Spates. You got linebacker, Texas linebacker transfer, Ovi Ogahofo. And now, sophomore linebacker, and the phenom himself, and probably arguably the best defensive player in college football and in the conference, Harold Perkins. So you got them. Notable questions. We're missing, LSU's missing defensive lineman Mason Smith. We're missing Mason Smith in the game here. He is now out due to a 1-game suspension due to improper benefits, according to On3 Sports. He will not play week 1 against Florida State. He will be sidelined for 1 game, and he will return most likely against Grambling. So, and another question, are we going to see defensive back Denver Harris? That's the main question. Are we going to see defensive back Denver Harris, the Texas A&M transfer from LAC coming in this season. There's a lot been going on there due to a fight that happened in practice between a lot of key guys. Malik Neighbors was involved and Harold Perkins was involved. Are we going to see Denver Harris? Because he had a role in that. So a lot of the guys are good, I've been hearing now. A lot of the chemistry has been building back up, which is solid and what you need for going into Sunday. An important game going into Sunday in Orlando. So, I don't know. Are we going to see Denver Harris? We're missing Mason Smith, or we're going to see Denver Harris. And the matchup, the wide receiver versus defensive backs for LSU. That's going to be a key matchup in this one. Very key matchup in this one. My prediction, and here it comes. I think it's going to be a very close game, back and forth. However, I think LSU does enough to get it done. I really do. I think LSU does enough to get the job done. They defeat Florida State 38-35. LSU 38, Florida State 35 by a field goal. Damon Ramos makes it for LSU this time. 38-35. LSU edges Florida State in Orlando Sunday night, and they start off the season 1-0. Don't worry, Florida State. I'm pretty sure with the rest of your schedules panning out, I think that one loss may be okay in the long run for your playoff hopes. So don't count out Florida State yet, but I think LSU edges Florida State here, 38-35. Give me the Tigers. So that just about does it for Pigskin Frenzy. Again, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave comments down below. Spotify and Podbean, if you're listening on those platforms, follow and share around with others. X, all you got to do is type in @pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. Just, follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news and highlights from across college and NFL football. Facebook, just follow the page there, Pigskin Frenzy. Like it. You'll get episode updates and as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. And Instagram, all you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow the page there. You'll get episode updates, you'll get trivia questions, and you'll get all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Again, reminder, enter the free giveaway. Big thank you for listening today. Thursday, we will be back for an NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy. We will release the power rankings heading into the NFL season. Who are my top 10 teams heading into the season? You're not going to want to miss it. Tune in Thursday. I'm Joel Norris signing off, and we will see you again then. And for everybody out there, stay the course.